Hello everyone, and welcome back to coverage of Grand Prix Rome for the MSEM format. I'm Caillou, and today we're going to be watching the round 2 match between Chumbeque, who's playing MonoWhite Tempo, versus Mako, who's playing Red-Black Discard Aggro. So both these decks are really cool, unique brews. Chumbeque, I think brewed this up either last GP or the GP before that. And despite it being a completely new deck, it had really good success, actually making top 8. Meanwhile, Mako's deck is a new one this rotation, thanks to cards from the new El Mare Dark Seas of Shirien rotation, like Advent from Above and Dust Lieutenant, supplemented by old favorites like Unearth. So the main idea of the deck is you pitch a bunch of cards early, you can revive them with Unearth, you also have a bunch of cards that bring themselves back from the grave themselves, and you kind of both present a early blistering clock while also having disruption from cards like Dust Lieutenant. So Mako starting off here, Crumbling Precipice into, I'd assume, Gift of the Phoenix and ditching the Dust Lieutenant so you can unearth it back next turn. Yeah, and then kind of a risky keep. Mako actually bottomed a land, but I guess the idea is you're getting to draw 2 off the Gift of the Phoenix. Both of them being 3 drops. Not what you want to see. I honestly think that Mako could have bottomed the Tide Hollow Lich and been fine. But still, let's see if it pays off. Chumbeque just going to open up with the turn 1 Sunrise Prairie. Kind of an interesting tech option that enables enables Chumbeque in later turns to hold up interaction while also running out threats. I think might be a little bit late here for Chumbeque though. You really wanted to get that Tall down turn 2 to name sorcery to start taxing stuff. Still, Helvala can just go over Helvala plus Ethereum Aggregator Helvala plus a flying creature can kind of just go over anything that Mako's doing, especially with how much damage they've already taken from their mana base. So, but yeah, top decking a land, quite good for Mako. I think if you're Mako, you just unearth plus Tide Hollow Lich here. Not sure what the think is for, because that way you put 6 power on board, and Chumbeque doesn't have interaction up. Actually, one thing might be that Mako's deciding, hey, if Chumbeque has Disseminate, do I want to tap out here? Which is a fair consideration. Disseminate is one white for you target creature gets exiled unless your opponent pays 1, and then has flashback 3. Really strong again in tempo focused decks like this, where you're nickel and diming your opponent's mana and punishing them for playing on curve. Of course, Chumbeque doesn't have it in hand right now. Draws it in a counter. The 1 mana counterspell would have been very good to pair with the Sunrise Prairie, but a little late. Turn 2, is it going to be Tall or Ethereum Upgrader? It's going to be Tall. Probably naming sorcery here, I'd imagine. Yeah, Mako's deck just has a lot of those. This also taxes Mako out of casting Advent from Above to kill the Tall. Well, speak of the devil, though. Wayfarer Shrine coming out. I almost wonder, though, if instead of playing Advent from Above, you just, screw it, I'll just force my attack. Because you can Oil Driller, salvage 2 cards at random, one of which could be an Unearth, and then if you get back the Unearth, you can just Unearth Oil Driller and do it all over again. So, I could definitely see playing Oil Driller here being a defensible play. And the Dwarven War Hatchet, despite doing a good Embercleave impression, I don't think you want here because, again, you don't make any immediate board impact because you can't free equip it. I guess, actually, no, you could use the Omen token, actually, to free equip it. So going in for attacks could actually, so Chumbeque's going to try and block the Dust Lieutenant. Could definitely just dome Chumbeque here by equipping the Dwarven War Hatchet. At instant speed, crack the Forebode token, equip the Dwarven War Hatchet. It gains double strike, so first strike damage will kill the Tall. So that's actually a really good play from Mako right here. A really good play. But yeah, and Chumbeque has to discard a card from the Forebode as well, discarding that Judicial Verdict. Again, once your opponent gets on board, that's where this deck kind of struggles, because it struggles to regain board control once it loses it. Unless you, unless your opponent, taps out, at that point you can disseminate them, but still, it's not ideal. Yeah, that was actually a really good play from Mako. I completely forgot about the Forebode token until the last second. So good on them for waiting. And now, this Dust Lieutenant alone does 10 damage. Say Chumbeque is going to play the Ethereum Aggregator, hold up, Invalidate. They don't really have many other options. I almost wonder, do you just take 12 here and then go Helvala plus Ethereum App? No, you just die on the swing there. Yeah, I think Chumbeque's only real out is keep blocking the Dusk Lieutenant with these Ethereum Aggregators until he top decks Disseminate or what's the name of it? There's a 2-mana O-Ring. Ostracizer Orb, that's the one. But yeah, ouch. Advent from Above plus Fiery Temper is going to be a beating. So, because now Chumbeque is not only forced to discard a card because of Dusk Lieutenant, but also takes 3 to face. Oh, I was going to counter the Advent from Above on the Ethereum Aggregator. Okay. So Ethereum Aggregator survives, and Mako does not get the card advantage from the Impulse Draw. Still, Chumbeque is going to take 3 face there. And is just hemorrhaging cards. Discards the Ethereum Aggregator. That is surprising. I feel like even if you play the Helvala, because her token comes in attacking, you just lose next turn, right? I guess that's basically Chumbeque's only way of gaining back board presence. Oh yeah, and I think if you're choosing to block with Ethereum Aggregator, don't keep Helvala. Don't keep Helvala over the Ethereum Aggregator there, because you need another blocker. Otherwise, you just lose next turn. So I think that was Chumbeque setting themselves up for failure almost. Okay, hits the Tall, that is a blocker. Tapping 4 for Helvala. Well, okay. Chumbeque's tapped out. Mako can play the Oil Driller and just win. Because that's a total of 16 damage. Or I guess could just use the Distant Thunder main 2. Because this puts Chumbeque down to 1. And yeah, down comes the Distant Thunder. I don't know why Chumbeque played the Helvala or prioritized the Helvala over the Tall. I think at that point you're so much on the defensive that you can only really retake the board through removal. You don't have any open spaces in which you can actually attack in. But yeah, okay, let's look at sideboarding from each of these players to see what they could bring in Game 2. On Chumbeque's end, Event Horizon is quite good as just cheap creature removal. And exiling is obviously even more insane in this matchup. So I think you easily take Event Horizon. I don't know if you bring in the full playset of Shikai's Readout, but I think you can definitely bring in like 2 or 3. You're a little color source heavy, but since you're all one color, I don't think it matters. Sorry, I think it's a little land light, and you do want double. You do need like double or triple white even because of heraldries, but I think that sacrificing that on curve is well worth the triple Shikai's Readout. And Tiny Heroine Tati gains life, but is a little slow. I'd have to think about it, but I could see taking out like a single heraldry if you're bringing in the Shikai's Readouts anyways. So that is my call on Chumbeque sideboarding. I think you bring in all the Event Horizons, you bring in the Shikai's Readout, and then maybe the Tati. On Mako's end, Duress, not super great here. You can take out Counter Magic, but like, I'm not sure how valuable that is. Imperial Siege, again, basically useless here. Violent Collapse, I don't know that Chumbeque's deck is aggressive enough that you'd actually want these. Titan Snare, I don't think you'd want these. I don't even know if Mako wants to sideboard at all, if I'm being honest. Like, it's very rare that you say that, but I think Mako's main board is just really well teched for what Chumbeque's trying to do. It gets under it in a really, like, pernicious way. So yeah, I think I almost think that Mako should just not board anything in. But right as I say that, we're getting into Game 2. It looks like Mako did bring in the Duress. Going to force Chumbeque to discard the Invalidate. I almost disagree with that because you can play around the Invalidate. Heraldry just ends games. It's so good. I actually peeked. I was like, when I saw that the Invalidate was being discarded, I was like, oh, so Mako has a second piece of hand attack. But that's just not the case. Yeah, I really think that not discarding Heraldry here was the wrong choice. Especially since Mako doesn't really have a way to answer it if Chumbeque never animates it, right? Then it just becomes a constant life gain source. And remember, it doesn't just trigger off Chumbeque's own creatures, it triggers off Mako's creatures, so you can fog a single attacker. Which is really good when your opponent is equipping stuff like I'm going to throw a Dwarven War Hatchet onto this. Okay, Mako playing out a Concealed Slasher, cheap free discard outlet that'll allow them to potentially play out the Dwarven War Hatchet next turn. I could definitely see that being the play. Especially because since you can do it at instant speed. Yeah, you can do it. You can even do Dwarven War Hatchet on the defensive to catch Chumbeque unawares. Okay, Chumbeque gonna run out the Disseminate on the Concealed Slasher. I could see it. And then, because yeah, then you have the extra mana to buff up Unlikeliest Heroes. Swings for 4. This is really like, and again, still has the heraldry. Like, what does Mako's play here? You know that Chumbeque has a disseminate, so you can't play the Dusk Lieutenant in good conscience. Do you just play the? I think you probably hard cast Dwarven War Hatchet. No, is playing the Dusk Lieutenant. Oh man, maybe the thought is that you want the Forebode token so much, or that it forces Chumbeque to tap out for disseminate. But I think Chumbeque is glad to do that. Like, yes, let me answer your creatures in a time efficient fashion. Yeah, I think this is all Chumbeque's game. But Chumbeque plays the heraldry? Okay. I think you should take the chances to disseminate when you can, just because of how it works. Maybe Chumbeque was worried that it was bait to get him to not play the heraldry. Okay, and yeah, this allows Mako to trade with one of your creatures, one of your unlikeliest heroes. So yeah, I really disagree with the heraldry before disseminate play there. Yeah, Mako keeps drawing these lands. I also kind of disagree with Mako blocking or trading there. I guess because you can now put down a mana to be able to stop any Dusk Lieutenant shenanigans, and then next turn Mako had Dwarven War Hatchet to be able to kill something on block. Because that trade when you're behind on board in two ways is, I think, a really bad choice. And the thing is, Dwarven War Hatchet would have been really good with the Dusk Lieutenant because they'd gain 4 life, but then because of they'd gain 5 life, but because of Dusk Lieutenant having double strike, it would still get damage in through the heraldry. So I really think that Mako should not have made that trade there. So now Chumbeque, let's see, Buried by. I'm actually surprised by the Buried by Time bring in. I guess that Mako does have artifact creatures. So, okay, Chumbeque's gonna animate the heraldry right here. Tiny Heroine Toddy coming in clutch, swings in for 3, and yeah, Toddy is just plussing up for just to get the counters on. That this lets her next turn -4 without killing herself, even if Chumbeque doesn't really gain the life. Okay, Chumbeque untapped the Sunrise Prairie, but I guess that was just to keep up the Buried by Time. Mako did top deck the Unearth. What do you unearth back here? Yeah, the only one choice, Dusk Lieutenant, sure. Which is not an artifact itself, so can't be Buried by Time right here. I almost wonder if you, depending on what you draw, if you just Buried by Time the Omen, just to be like, I'm gonna have to discard this Buried by Time anyways. Like if you draw a land, you just play the land, Buried by Time the Omen. I think Helvala is probably the best draw here. Second Toddy is not it. Yeah, I think. Well, first of all, I guess what second Toddy does let you is, yeah, it lets you aggressively -4 here. If Mako kills the Toddy, you still have like a backup one, so it's like whatever. What is Chumbeque getting? Ethereum Abrogator? That's fair. I think, yeah, like Tal would be a little bit slow here. I'm not sure if Chumbeque has any other like high impact 2 drops. So swings in with the Heraldry. Mako is dead in the air next turn. Oil Driller. So Oil Driller could buy back the Fiery Temper, which is, and then Mako could try and kill the Heraldry. In response, Chumbeque could, actually could not in response Buried by Time. So Chumbeque would have to recognize, and before Oil Driller, like as soon as Oil Driller's ETB resolves at the start of combat, would have to Buried by Time the Colorless Omen. Actually, wait, no, can actually just Buried by Time the Oil Driller. So that actually makes this math a lot easier. And I was thinking about Buried, and you might be thinking, well, Anand, he doesn't need to discard the Fiery Temper to cast it because Mako already has the mana. The main reason I was talking about that is because casting Buried by Time would trigger the Heraldry's prowess, buffing it to a 4/4, therefore it wouldn't die to the Fiery Temper. Wow, and Mako getting the 2 best hits they possibly could have. Fiery Temper and Unearth. It's just unfortunate that this Buried by Time is gonna eat that hope immediately. Okay. Chumbeque gains 4 because of Heraldry, and then, yeah, gonna Buried by Time the Oil Driller. And that was Mako's only out, because he needed to kill the Heraldry to not die in the air. So, yeah, game 2 emphatically goes to Chumbeque. And yeah, I think it came down to Mako should have just taken the Heraldry. I don't know that they would have won either way, but the Heraldry was such a backbreaker. Yeah, the 2 decision points were blocking with or choosing to trade the Dusk Lieutenant, and not taking Heraldry with the Duress. I think those were 2 losing decisions. Ooh, Chumbeque's hand here kind of control-y. Helvala is a win con. Chumbeke's keeping. I was about to say it's a little bit of a risky keep since you don't have anything else to place to the board, but I think Chumbeque has, like, I think if you sure Chumbeque and, like, I think the analysis of I am, um, I am the control and not the beatdown in this matchup makes sense. Um, it is a very, like, this is a very weak to duress hand, though. Fortunately, Mako does not have that. It's just going to be playing a Tide Hollow Lich turn 1, probably, and then, like, turn 2, the Corpse Bed does nothing, and then you just play out another Tide Hollow Lich and try to go for damage, at which point Chumbeque can go Event Horizon Ostracizer Orb. Okay, and as predicted, Mako just swung in for 2 and then played a Tide Hollow Lich. And yeah, just plays out the Corpse Bed for no value. Not really much else to do because, it doesn't have another land. Yeah, next, I mean, is the plan next turn just Tide Hollow Lich, Distant Thunder? I could definitely see it. Chumbeque playing the top deck Unlikeliest Hero. I disagree with this play because I feel like, oh, I guess you do have access to Untap Sunrise Prairie Event Horizon. I was about to say you want to have access to Removal Spell. See, I think if you're Mako, you're fine with just Distant Thunder, discarding Concealed Slasher, Tide Hollow Lich, and the Distant Thunder hitting the Unlikeliest Heroes. Okay, on attack, Chumbeque is going to Event Horizon one of the Tide Hollow Liches. Wow, is Mako thinking of Distant Thundering their own Tide Hollow Lich so they can cast it later? I think that's a little bit too big-brained. I think you just let this one be exiled. You have enough threats, and then you want to kill Chumbeque's threats. So yeah, I think you just go Tide Hollow Lich, Distant Thunder, discarding either Conceal Slasher. You could discard Unearth, but like, I think the pair of Unearth plus Distant Thunder is a great top deck material. Oh, it's going to end. Interesting. Just going to hold up the Distant Thunder and see. That actually makes a lot of sense too, because at instant speed you can hope to catch like an Ethereum Abrogator or a Tal or something, which is a little bit more impactful than the Unlikeliest Heroes. The Unlikeliest Heroes does grow into a formidable threat if left unchecked. So I think if you're Chumbeque, you can Ostracize your Orb to eat a Tide Hollow Lich here. No, it's just going to pass? Okay, I think this is a mistake because you want to use your mana efficiently. Here you can Ostracize your Orb, grab a Tide Hollow Lich, and then you'd have mana for either Invalidate or buffing Unlikeliest Heroes, and then turn 4 you just Windmill Slam the Helvala. Am I wrong? So Chumbeque just going to take 4 from the double Tide Hollow Lich Assault once more. And I cannot believe it. Mako drew their 4th Tide Hollow Lich. This is actually insane. The full playset out at Bear. Okay, on end, Chumbeque going to buff up the Unlikeliest Heroes. But yeah, now put in a position where it's like, okay, do I Helvala or do I Ostracizer Orb? I guess Event Horizon plus Ostracizer Orb this turn. Actually, yeah, I think you do that this turn. So that you don't just die to some bullshit. I think you just Ostracize your Orb, grab a Tide Hollow Lich, Event Horizon, grab a Tide Hollow Lich, swing in with the Unlikeliest Heroes. Next turn you have access to Helvala, and then you just take over the game. You can also even untap with your Sunrise Plains to have Invalidate up. So I think that's definitely the line. Oh, buffing the Unlikeliest Heroes? Oh yeah, this is I think the worst play Chumbeque could have made, because now it just dies, right? Yeah. In response to, and discarding the Concealed Slasher, Distant Thunder just eats the Unlikeliest Heroes. Chumbeque takes 6 here, and then can double Removal Spell, but then Mako still has Tide Hollow Lich plus Distant Thunder to deal the last 5 damage. I think this is just over. Chumbeque went to having a reasonably commanding position to, I think, just being dead. And it's all because they got greedy right there. That was maybe the biggest throw I've seen so far. I'm not sure. What is the Unearth for? Oh, for the discarded Conceal Slasher. Okay. Sure. Yeah, this is... I actually think that you could have gone Distant Thunder on face, Unearth the Dusk Lieutenant, but this is fine. This is fine as well. I guess you can... Yeah. Yeah, so now Chumbeque is just screwed. Like, to his mind, the only out is you Event Horizon, kill a Tide Hollow Lich, Ostracize your Orb, kill a Concealed Slasher, take 4, pray to draw another creature so you can trade. But then here Mako has the burn spell. So yeah, swing, just first of all, make them have it. Swings for 6. Event Horizon comes down, killing one of them. And then yeah, Mako's like, hey, I actually just have this. Chumbeque tries to run out the Invalidate, but Mako has the extra mana. And that's the game. Yeah, it all came down to, I think, somehow, I feel like Chumbeque found the worst line there with buffing up the Unlikeliest Heroes. I guess the thought was that, like, you get a 4/4 Vigilance, you get to swing in for 4, and then you can have it on the back line. But just, should have known from the earlier games that Mako has instant speed removal. I guess the thought was that, like, hey, if Mako had it, wouldn't they have used it earlier? Still, I really think that I feel like you like if you're Chumbeque, you have to respect how much this is a matchup of board control, and you have to prioritize cleaning up the board first. Because I think in this matchup, if you clean up the board early, Chumbeque just had like a runaway win right there. Like, okay, let's say like unlikeliest heroes gets killed, whatever. You still like Helvala comes down, and then as soon as you get another creature, you're in like a winning position, like an overwhelmingly winning position. But yeah, that was still like a hard having to face down all of these liches one after another was definitely difficult. But yeah, whew, what a set. Good games to both players here. And with that, I'm going to wrap up coverage of this match. This is Caillou signing off.